What's up, friends? It's me, Saucy Susie. It sounds so weird. I've never really said that out loud, like, ew. That's been my username on every one of my social medias for like, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years now. I don't know. It just sounds weird saying it. Anyway, it's me. If you're new here, welcome to my channel, my little growing channel that I've been putting so much effort and time into. If you're not new, thank you so much for coming back and just supporting me along the way. Today's video is very different than anything I've done before. I haven't touched on the subject of like motherhood whatsoever, but it is something that is so important to me, and it is a huge part of who I am, because before anything I am a mother. If you don't know, I have one son. He is 2.5 years old. He'll be 3 years old in April. And yeah, I just wanted to open up a different like segment of videos that I can touch on, because being a mom and just talking about my experiences with others and reflecting on what I think I could do better, I think really helps a lot, honestly. So even if you can't really relate, it's just a really good way for me to get these thoughts out there and hopefully in some way or another give you some insight on the things that I wish I would have done differently, and just give you some insight on how my experience has been and is going as far as being a mom. I don't know how many more of these kinds of videos I will do, so please just let me know if this is something that you end up enjoying, because like I said, I'm just exploring different topics that I find interesting and important to me, and obviously I want to know if that's something that you care about as well. So today I wanted to share with you some regrets that I have as a first-time mom. I am almost 100% sure that I'm going to get emotional at several points during making this video, because like I said, what I'm talking about today is very important to me. And honestly, my experience so far as a mom has been super just emotional and sometimes a struggle, but overall it's been worth it. And so if I sound like I'm being negative, that's just because I'm sharing my regrets. Obviously there are so many more upsides to it that I can talk about at a different time. These are just things that I think I could have done better for myself and for my son. But before we get started, I'd really appreciate it if you would like this video and or subscribe right now. It really helps me out in trying to grow my channel. It honestly just lets me know that I'm putting things out there that you might actually want to see, and lets me know that I should keep going. The first thing that I regret as a first-time mom is not becoming active or trying to get like into better shape much sooner than I did. So as you may know, if you've seen like any of my other social media posts or my videos on YouTube, you would see that I very recently actually, like this year in May, started trying to lose weight, tone up, and just like feel a lot better physically. And obviously this year in May, my son was already 2 years old. I feel like I took way too long not feeling like myself, because before my son, I probably weighed the most was like 145, maybe I pushed it to 150 at some point. I highly doubt it though. Yeah, throughout college, I was pretty active. I was much smaller. Fast forward to the end of my pregnancy, I want to say I was at like 190, 195 maybe. I definitely put on a good 40-50 pounds, and honestly I'm not exactly sure, because like I said, I wasn't worried about this stuff at the time, but I'm pretty sure I had lost a good amount of weight soon after having birth. I was also breastfeeding. I can look back at my pictures in my phone and I saw that I think in December of 2018, so about 8 months after I had my son, I was down to 177. So I had lost about 15-20 pounds. But yeah, I had gotten down somewhat, and gradually I gained that weight back. So I didn't even realize until like more recently when I was looking back that I had already lost some of the baby weight or the pregnancy weight, and I managed to get back up to 196, I believe. This year in January 2020, I was 196. That is crazy. I was almost 200 pounds, and I'm not saying that there's obviously anything wrong with being 200 pounds, but for me, my body, my frame, my height, my size, whatever. Like that just wasn't okay. I was so overweight and like unhealthy. I wasn't making any effort whatsoever to try to like be physically fit or active at all. I wasn't taking care of myself in terms of how I ate at all. I was eating out like 2 times a day, snacking at night. I worked in an office, so I was always sitting down and didn't make any effort to like do anything besides that. It just took me a very long time to finally feel like it was enough, and like I was at that point of being so unhappy with myself physically that I decided to start eating differently. And I don't think I was even working out yet, but yeah, I just changed how I ate starting in May, and then little by little I started incorporating like walking. More recently, like in September, I started doing actual like strength training, like leg workouts, blah blah blah. Anyway, so just because this is number 1 doesn't mean this is my biggest regret. It's just the one I'm gonna put first. Number 2 is pretty similar, but it's more specific, and it obviously has taken a toll for sure on how I see myself. Not so much as a mom, but just as a person. And number 2 is not wearing a faja or trying to do anything that would help my body kind of go back to what it was, at least somewhat, pre-pregnancy. So basically I didn't try to address the things that were bothering me that had changed about me physically. I obviously noticed a huge difference in things like having stretch marks that I didn't have before on my stomach, on my legs. I always had stretch marks on my butt. Honestly, I don't care about those, but also my boobs like blew up when I was breastfeeding, and then once there wasn't that milk anymore, they like deflated, and now they're just naturally sitting lower, kind of saggy. I know there are some things that I wouldn't be able to change back to how they were before, like some things that pregnancy causes that are natural and you shouldn't worry about, you know, like your boobs starting to sag and whatnot. But there are other things like my lower stomach pouch that I have just so much regretted not trying to address as soon as I had him. I realized more recently, like probably a year and a half or 2 after having my son, that a lot of like more traditional Mexicans, and I might be wrong, it might be other cultures, but I've seen a lot of like Latina girls who have had a child and will wear like a faja or just somehow try to like tone up their midsection. They'll, you know, like wear something that kind of compresses it just to help your stomach skin snap back into shape. I didn't even know that that was a thing. Like I really wish someone would have mentioned that to me. I literally thought it was the opposite of that. Like I purposely wore super loose baggy clothing because I didn't want to put pressure on like my midsection or my uterus or whatever. I just remember feeling so like not like myself. Obviously I had just given birth, but like I also just started to like dress according to how much bigger I was and how my body had changed, and just trying to wear things that would cover up what I looked like underneath. I didn't realize that it would have been okay to wear somewhat of a sort of like compression garment to like help my stomach get its elasticity back. I don't know that I took pictures far back enough because I was just so insecure about it, and I honestly didn't really think that I was going to change anything about it after I had waited so long. I don't think I took that many pictures of what it looked like before, but I finally started trying to help my stomach. One, obviously by losing weight. I've tried to like slim my midsection down to get it closer to what it was like before my son. But obviously as I have lost the weight there, I have like that lower stomach pouch thing. The skin is still pretty loose even though I have lost a pretty good amount of weight in my midsection. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to take to tone that up. I'm now realizing like how much more helpful it would have been to do things earlier on, but I'm still working at trying to like waist train and apply creams that are supposed to help with like stretch marks and loose skin, all that good stuff. You know, I still haven't lost hope completely, but that is just like one of my very top regrets of things that I could have done differently that honestly would have made a world of difference. Obviously I'm not going to be unrealistic and expect to like to look the way I did before having a kid. I'm not saying I was perfect anyway, but I was just a lot happier with where my body was physically, and I'm just trying to get back to feeling that way again, at least about myself physically. I'm still proud of being a mom and what my body did to bring my son into this world, but I'm human, and naturally I want to be a little bit more proud of what I see in the mirror and more comfortable in my own skin. Another one of my regrets as a mom is just not enjoying the time with my son being a baby like I should have. And I could go on forever about this and the reasons that I guess I wasn't in the right mind state, but ultimately I feel like I look back at pictures that I have of him being small, of pictures that my family took when they would spend time with him. I look back at those memories of him being super tiny and being an actual baby, and I feel like I don't remember a lot of that. I know I was there. He was my priority. It's not like I wasn't physically there, but mentally I just don't remember a lot of what it felt like to be there at that time. Does that make sense? I don't remember feeling really happy. I was happy because I knew what a blessing it was to have a child. And I told myself over and over again, you know, to not worry about things that I couldn't control. But I guess naturally my mind wandered a lot, and half the time I was so focused on being unhappy in other ways that I didn't fully enjoy my time with him like I should have. And I'm not saying I didn't appreciate my time with him as a baby at all, because I did, and I had plenty of moments where I could forget about everything else and just, you know, focus on being a mom and trying my best for him. But I just feel like those moments should have been so much more than they were, because a lot of what I remember about that time of him as a baby is negative in some ways. I just remember myself being unhappy with my appearance, with how I felt physically, so out of shape. I questioned a lot about what our future would look like, how things would turn out for us. I just wish that I had understood so much more how important it is to live in the now, to appreciate the present, to just bask in the moments that you have right now instead of worrying too much, overthinking about the future, because honestly those future days may never come, and what we have is here right now. Your kid is never going to be that tiny again and that dependent on you. Honestly, they're never going to need you as much as they do at that point, and you know, that's a feeling you're never going to get back. Now clearly I can look back at this in a positive way, because I have come such a long way in how I view things as a mom, and in looking back and feeling like I didn't really enjoy that time as much as I should have, it has pushed me that much more to just let go of everything else and enjoy the time that I have with him, even when he's throwing tantrums, because he's 2 and he's starting to test me a lot more. My fourth regret is that I didn't breastfeed for longer. I did breastfeed my son. That was my plan from the get-go. I wanted to try it out, and I did a lot of research about the struggles of breastfeeding and like how it can be super hard to even just get started, but if you're motivated it can work out. I did go through a lot of struggling initially. My son had issues latching, but I didn't give up, and aside from like all the struggles of breastfeeding and like getting used to it, like the bleeding nipples, the cracking, the burning, the aching, the getting engorged breasts, and just leaking everywhere, it was a struggle. It was a lot of work, but I did do it for about 3.5 or 4 months. I did breastfeed for a little bit after I went back to work. I would like pump during my breaks, and then even during my lunchtime I would drive home and breastfeed him, or even pump more for later if he wasn't hungry. I didn't realize how much work it was going to take to work full-time and continue with the breastfeeding and like increasing my supply enough for him as he was growing. Yeah, I think this video was long enough. Pretty sure I talked a lot. Thank you if you made it this far into the video. If you are interested in any more like mom related parenting videos or whatever, I'm definitely willing to do those kinds of things. Honestly, I get a lot of questions on social media when I have posted the ask me a question little thing on Instagram. I always get questions about like motherhood, and it's always super interesting, and I love responding to those kinds of things. So I thought I would just like put this here for now, because I'm still trying to build my channel. Like I've said a million times, I'm very open to ideas for content. Thank you very much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.